What's up, Fantasy Pros gang? My name is Andrew Erickson. Today we're going to be diving headfirst into identifying 10 players to trade before Week 10 kicks off. But before I get to my list, struggling with fantasy punishments this year? We've got you covered. Give the last place loser in your league the trophy they deserve by immortalizing their epic fail with Trophy Smack's teeny tiny loser title belt. This mini title belt has loser written all over it, literally. To win, all you have to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on this video, and that is it. I'm announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight to the trade for list before Week 10 kicks off. Wide receiver Chris Olave, New Orleans Saints, sell. Chris Olave was targeted 8 times in Week 9, made 6 receptions for 46 yards, and scored a touchdown with a 24% target share. Still, I want to sell high. Stat line he put up was similar as a week prior, except he scored. Total 1 red zone target in the game, where Michael Thomas saw 1 target overall. That won't be as one-sided going forward. And Olave's red zone usage continues to disappoint. He only has 7 red zone targets total on the year, which is put him at wide receiver 18 overall and wide receiver 31 in points per game. Flip Olave after the touchdown score for Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, or this next buy low wide receiver. Wide receiver DK Metcalf, Seattle Seahawks, buy. DK Metcalf caught 1 pass for 50 yards, drawing 4 targets and 2 red zone targets in Week 9, but I still want to buy low on DK Metcalf. Last week was a tougher matchup versus a fierce Ravens defense, and that has been the case for Seattle, who has not benefited from any recent matchups that have worked for their wide receivers, except for the Cardinals game, which DK Metcalf missed. It's going to get dramatically better. The woeful Commanders are next, followed by the Rams, 49ers, Cowboys, and 49ers again. Metcalf is on the cusp of an eruption game. He's a fantasy wide receiver 4 after a career of never being worse than a fantasy wide receiver 2. That will not last. Seattle has a top 4 wide receiver strength of schedule for the rest of the year. And through 8 healthy games this season, Metcalf still leads the Seahawks in receiving yards. He also has 8+ targets in 3 of his last 5 games. Get Metcalf on your team with DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, or the sell high wide receiver. Wide receiver Nico Collins, Houston Texans, sell. Collins added another touchdown reception, going 3 for 54, contributing to the Texans' success, which has a 12% target share and 2 red zone targets. Still, he had a total of 8 targets with penalties included. I flip-flopped on Collins versus Tank Dell seemingly every single week, even though I recommended both as buy lows last week in the Week 9 fantasy football forecast. However, the fact that it's so close between the two players, but Dell's performance as a rookie has me lean toward him rest of season. Full disclosure that I like both guys, but if I could sell Collins after his touchdown score despite low targets, I'd do so. And I would buy Dell after his massive game. Collins is just a wide receiver 33 in expected points per game this season, and has struggled on the road this season. He's gone over 40 yards just once in 4 road games, including duds over his last 3 road games. Sell high in the Texans' #1 wide receiver by consensus rankings for Tank Dell straight up, Deontay Johnson, or this next buy low rookie wide receiver. Wide receiver Zay Flowers, Baltimore Ravens, buy. Flowers only had 1 target last week despite leading the Ravens in routes run, and their huge win versus the Seahawks. I chalk it up to being a non-competitive game where they wanted to get OBJ the ball on his birthday. Buy low on the talented rookie after his worst game of the season. No worries in any capacity. The Ravens have a top 4 wide receiver strength of schedule for the rest of the year. Scoop up Flowers, Raheem Mostert, or this other sell high running back. Running back Chuba Hubbard, Carolina Panthers, sell. Hubbard outtouched Miles Sanders 10 versus 1 in the first half versus the Colts. Hubbard led the rushing attack overall with 16 carries, 58 yards, average of 3.6 yards per carry. Sanders contributed with 6 carries for 39 yards, averaging an impressive 6.5 yards per carry. Almost exclusively worked in the second half with 5 targets to Hubbard's 6 targets. The fact that Sanders looked better in the second half as a rusher has me concerned. We might see more of him in a split moving forward. It was a near touch split in the second half, which is hard to tell from the total box score alone. On the first drive, it was Hubbard with an attempt, followed by Sanders with an attempt. There was a race due to a penalty. Hubbard also fumbled on a reception. The Bears are an elite run-stuffing unit, and that will make life tough on the Panthers' running game on Thursday night. Dallas and Tennessee are also tough on running backs. Get out of the Carolina running back market now. Sell Hubbard for Marquise Brown, Tank Dell, or James Conner. Package him to get up to this next trade for wide receiver target. Wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, San Francisco 49ers, buy. Aiyuk contributed 5 receptions for 109 yards, averaging over 20 yards per catch back in Week 8. The dude is a straight alpha wide receiver, and it doesn't matter that Deebo Samuel's coming back. Buy him. 29% target share and league-leading 49% air yard share this season. number 4 overall in total weighted opportunity. The Jags, Buccaneers, and Seahawks round out the next 3 weeks for the 49ers, followed by the Eagles, Seahawks again, and Cardinals. It's a top 5 rest of season schedule for quarterbacks and wide receivers. Per the FantasyPros strength of schedule tool, Aiyuk can be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver from here on out. Get Brandon Aiyuk with Nico Collins, DeAndre Hopkins, Puka Nacua, or Chris Olave, or package this next sell-high running back with another wide receiver. Running back Kareem Hunt, Cleveland Browns sell. Kareem Hunt had 14 attempts for 38 yards and 1 touchdown in Week 9, as he tends to see the most red zone work in the Browns' backfield with 3 red zone carries. But through the first half, he and Jerome Ford each had 6 carries. Pierre Strong also had 3 carries in the first half. Hunt ended with only a 29% snap share to Ford's 64% snap share. Ford's rushing success rate continues to be abysmal, dead last in the NFL, but his takeover as a highly involved receiver in Week 9 is encouraging for his fantasy value. Considering touches, targets, and snaps are more predictable and sticky week over week, I'd likely be a buyer holder of Jerome Ford, or looking to sell high on Kareem Hunt and his recent touchdown production of 5 scores in the last 4 games. Also, the Browns lost starting tackle Jedrick Wills to an MCL injury that will sideline him for several games. Sell Hunt for Demario Douglas, Jerry Jeudy, or put him in a deal to get this primed buy low running back. Running back Tony Pollard, Dallas Cowboys, buy. Tony Pollard led the Dallas rushing attack with 12 carries for 51 yards, averaging 4.3 yards per carry in Week 9, received 5 targets, caught 3 passes for 12 yards, played a 77% snap share. And do not be fooled by the touchdownless box score. Pollard scored, but is called back to an illegal formation penalty from the 2-yard line. Next play, Dallas threw a touchdown. Woof. The schedule is still there for the taking for Pollard to finish the season on a strong note. Buy low before the window slams shut. Pollard is the RB7 expected fantasy points per game this season. He should go off versus the Giants defense, which ranks 28th in run defense DVOA. Get Pollard with Jalen Waddle or my number 1 sell high running back. Running back Alvin Kamara, New Orleans Saints, sell. Kamara received 5 targets and caught 4 passes for 44 yards in Week 9. He only had 9 carries for 26 yards with 4 in the first half. It was the lowest touch number since returning from his suspension with a 49% snap share. He also just had 2 red zone carries. Jamal Williams had 3 targets, caught 2 passes for 6 yards, also had 3 carries. Taysom Hill was targeted 5 times, including twice in the red zone, making 4 catches for 13 yards and a touchdown. He also led the team in rushing with 11 carries for 52 yards. He was the leading rusher in the first half. He threw a touchdown. Taysom Hill continues to do it all, and he remains a focal point in the red zone with 6 red zone carries. As I noted last week, I think selling Kamara is still the move to make. Snaps continue to dip as the Saints get guys more involved, like Hill, Williams, and Kendre Miller. The heavy involvement from the other running backs and Hill around the goal line also concerns me long-term, and that was apparent this past week. Saints' schedule is also brutal for running backs over the rest of the season. Sell high on the older running back for youth in the form of my number 1 buy low player in all of fantasy football. Running back Bejon Robinson, Atlanta Falcons, buy. Bejon Robinson carried the ball 11 times for 51 yards, while Tyler Algier had 12 carries for 39 yards and scored 1 touchdown on 4 red zone carries in Week 9. Robinson also saw 4 targets to Algier's 3. But the vast majority of Algier's production came in the second half. He was sitting in negative yardage in the first half. He had 3 carries for negative 4 yards to Robinson's 6 for 19. The rookie was still clearly the starter. Algier was 4th quarter usage or bust. The Cardinals are up next to the Falcons, followed by a bye week, then the Saints, Jets, and Bucks. The playoff schedule remains juicy, with the Panthers, Colts, and Bears weeks 15 through 17. With an elite matchup versus the Cardinals, you have to buy low on Robinson. Again, he was the first half carry leader, ran a route on 57% of the dropbacks, still logged a strong 61% snap share, and continued to see work in the 4th quarter before Algier took over, ran the ball 7 straight times before punching in his touchdown. The team just rode the hot hen toward the end of the game. But the facts are that the routes, targets, snaps, and matchup are all there for Bejon in Week 10. And what's even better than the Falcons, boast a top 3 most favorable schedule for running backs from Week 10 onward. The strong second half finish is coming that we typically see from rookies in the form of Bejon Robinson. Keep in mind that rookie Jonathan Taylor was RB18 through 9 weeks, finished as the RB3 overall from Week 10 onward. That concludes my list of 10 players to trade before Week 10. Enjoy this content, be sure to get a like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And again, make sure you go check out the FantasyPros rest of season rankings to help with all your future trades. But before you go, struggling with fantasy punishments this year? We've got you covered. Give the last place loser in your league the trophy they deserve by immortalizing their epic fail with Trophy Smack's teeny tiny loser title belt. This mini title belt has loser written all over it, literally. To win, all you have to do is subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on this video, and that is it. I'm announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Thanks for watching.